This is Dorie Clark, and I am here on behalf of Newsweek. This is our weekly interview show, Better. I am here with Aubrey Marcus, and we are going to be talking today about how to optimize your life. Aubrey, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Excellent. So great to have you here. So, Aubrey is the creator, the writer of the book Own the Day, Own Your Life. It's a New York Times bestseller. And he is also the founder of the very successful multi-deca $1 million company On It, which is a supplements and wellness company. So, Aubrey, a question that I have for you, and I'm curious about your answer to this. You say, from your book, Own the Day, to live one day well is the same as to live 10,000 days well. To master 24 hours is to master your life. Can you talk a little bit about what you mean by that and what it actually looks like for people to be mastering their life?
I think oftentimes we have too long of a time span that we're trying to measure ourselves by. We're so worried about the top of the mountain that we forget about each step that's necessary that we have to take. There's a old maxim that says, he that would move a mountain first begins by moving small stones. So the process of walking up the mountain is the process of taking each individual step with intention, with clarity, knowing where you're going and knowing how to do it. And so I think it's really reminding people that don't worry about everything else. Don't worry about the 40 days. Don't worry about how many pounds you want to lose or how much muscle you want to put on or what you want to overcome in your own life. Just worry about doing this day right. In fact, worry about doing this hour of this day right. In fact, worry about doing this very first thing when you wake up right, and then go to the next thing, and then go to the next thing. It really allows you to be a lot more present, still knowing where you want to go, having your intentions, but following each step, and then just surrendering yourself in the moment to these action steps, which is going to yield you where you're ultimately heading to go.
I think that's really powerful, Aubrey. Thank you very much. And I just want to say hello to everyone who's tuning in and joining us live. Please feel free to type into the chat box and let us know who you are and where you are calling in from. We have Minx in Oakland. We have Dennis here. We have Janet. Maria's here from Spain. This is great. We have Alex and Hadi and Kim. So please feel free to type in and say where you are, and also any questions that you have for Aubrey, because we would love to hear from you. So, Aubrey, I'm actually curious to the point about taking control of our day and mastering what we can control. Certainly, a phenomenon that gets talked about a lot these days in entrepreneurial circles is the morning routine, the morning rituals. What does yours look like? Out of curiosity, what are the key cornerstones of your day and how you get yourself off to a good start?
Well, we have to understand what happens when we sleep. When we sleep, we're actually perspiring sweat from our body oftentimes, but we're also in our respiration cycle, we're breathing in dry air and we're expelling very moist air because we're a water-based organism, really. I mean, most of our body is made up of water, over 70%. So every time we breathe, we're losing water. So the first thing you have to understand is we wake up dehydrated. And we've lost a pound or two of water overnight. All of us have, just from breathing. And depending on the environment, how dry the air is that you're breathing in versus how wet the air is that you're expelling, you're going to lose more water. So the first thing is very simple. Like, we got to get water back, but we're not a freshwater organism. We're a saltwater organism. We have all those electrolytes. So getting that salt back and those electrolytes, those minerals back into our system is also equally important, because if we're expiring mineral rich water and respiring mineral rich water but not bringing in anything but distilled water, we're going to lose minerals over time, and that's going to be a challenge. So the first thing I recommend is called the morning mineral cocktail. It's 12 ounces of warm water with some Himalayan sea salt, which is just a great pristine version of sea salt. Sea salt has tons and tons of minerals, over 65 different minerals. So get those minerals back in. A splash of lemon juice has bioflavonoids, a couple different things, of course, vitamin C, as we all know, and mix that together and drink that first before you have your coffee, before you have your food, before you have anything. So that's step one. Step two is movement. We want to start our circadian rhythm. So you don't have to move a lot, just kind of get the body moving around. I know a lot of us like to shuffle and sluggishly move our way through the morning, but if you want to get your day started right, get a little bit of movement in, do some stretching, hit your down dog, hit a couple push-ups, at least fold over and kind of stretch out. It's not a workout, it's just movement. And that's going to start your circadian rhythm, get the body woken up and saying, all right, I'm ready for the day. The third thing also pertaining to the circadian rhythm, that wake sleep cycle that we want to optimize, is get some light. And ideally you get sunlight on your skin. Now we have photoreceptors not only in our eyes, but in our skin, in our ears. So exposing your body to a little bit of light, that's going to do a lot more than rushing immediately to that, adrenal stimulant, which is coffee. You can go to that later, go to that when you need it. I'm a coffee drinker myself, but getting these three things started is really going to help.
Yeah, that's really fascinating, Aubrey. Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to say hi to some of the folks who are tuning in live. We have Debbie from New Jersey. We have Jimmy from Oregon. We have Irina from Belarus and Maria from Spain. So it's a wonderful assortment of folks. Thank you for joining us. And please, if you've just joined us, type in your name and location in the chat box, as well as your questions for Aubrey Marcus. Aubrey is the writer of the New York Times bestseller, Own the Day, Own Your Life. Now, Aubrey, you are also the founder of Onnit, the company, the supplements company. And I am curious, can you talk a little bit about how you found your calling in terms of the world of optimizing fitness and wellness? Like how did you find yourself on that path to begin with?
I don't remember a time where I wasn't on that path. And that's the interesting thing. I was always interested in performance. And, that starts with sports for a lot of us when we're young. I was a competitive athlete, but I was competitive at, chutes and ladders. I was competitive at snail trail at 3. I was always trying to get an edge. And my family had a lot of healthy competition in everything that we did. So I had 3 older stepbrothers, ultimately 3 younger half sisters and a younger half brother. I had a huge family, and a lot of people would come over to play games and experience a lot of different things. And so I was always trying to optimize my performance. Now it was play when I was younger, but as I started to get older, it starts to get more serious, perhaps not in the realm of physical competition. A very select few of us actually have our vocation pertaining to an actual sport or physical activity, but mental acuity and mental activity. And so it was a natural transition to say, all right, how do we get the most out of our mental performance, our emotional performance, and also our physical performance? Because even though we might not be getting paid for it, we still care about when we go out and play tennis with our friends or hit that beach volleyball game. We want to be at our best. So I really wanted to create something that would support everybody who's trying to be, as the name says, on it, be at the very best they can possibly be. And this was, a background that I'd had growing up, understanding that input equals output. The food that I have, any supplements that I took, this could affect and modulate performance, and just put this together. And really the secret of Onnit is I made a company full of all the tools that I wanted. And it just so happened that millions of other people wanted the same thing as me.
Love it when that happens. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. So we have some great friends here. Sylvia is here from Toronto, Sarah from Austin, Jean-Louis from Toulouse. We have Ahmet from Ankara. We have Kristen, Maria, lots of great folks tuning in. Thank you for that. And a question, Aubrey, came in from Janet. She is curious. She says, I tend to run out of energy in the late afternoon. I'm sure, Janet, you are not alone. She wants to know, Aubrey, if you have any tips on how do you keep from being a slacker later in the workday. What would you suggest?
Well, I talk about it in my book, and there's a lot of great neuroscience emerging even since my book about the importance of napping. And it doesn't even have to be a full nap where you fall asleep and you don't even remember what's happening. Dr. Andrew Huberman talks a lot about non-sleep rest. So it's this place to kind of reset the nervous system and allow yourself to get to that kind of state of calm again. So even people who have 9 to 5 jobs, I guess that's all been disrupted in our recent era. But even if you do, and you have to go to an office, there's time to eat for 30 minutes. And then, especially if you bring a good healthy lunch with you, and then go to your car and just, put on some relaxing music, some headphones, lean back in your seat, and just give yourself a chance to rest. I think we all have this mentality of go, 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 go. And that's fine, but it's also important to remember that we're a cyclical being. And oftentimes our circadian rhythm is going to hit a natural dip. And if we just swim with the current, allow ourselves to rest, we'll reemerge out of that just for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is fine. We'll reemerge out of that with a lot more energy. And that's something specifically that I do almost every day. I mean, it's an essential part of my day is to find that period where I can get that non-sleep rest. And sometimes I actually go all the way into sleep with it.
That's sensational. I love that. Really useful. And I see here that Gina has actually posted some of the insights that she's already been learning from Aubrey in this interview. So love that, Gina. Thanks for doing it. For any of you tuning in, feel free to type into the chat box so that other people can benefit from this conversation. Type in what you're learning and what your takeaways are from the conversation. And if you want to make
Gina
sure
nailed it.
Yeah, she did. That Gina, she is a sharp one. That is
she is
for
on
sure.
point. She is on it.
Yes, she is. If you want to make sure you never miss one of our weekly Newsweek conversations, go to dorieclark.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there and get a self-assessment, and you will be reminded of all of our great weekly guests, including today, Aubrey Marcus. Of course, if you want to learn more about Aubrey and his business, go to onit.com. Now, Aubrey, obviously, the thing that's kind of on everybody's mind over the past year is, oh, gee, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and hopefully we're, God willing, coming out on the other side of it. But this has been a very disrupted year. You, as someone who has expertise in life and work optimization, what have you seen and noticed during the pandemic? What is it that people are doing right and doing wrong in terms of staying sane during this time?
I see kind of two different directions that first of all, let me frame this by saying that any external, the collective threat, any collective challenge is going to create an adaptation. It always does. So the adaptations that people are making are either sometimes the threat and the pressure is too much and people are actually retracting and retracing and going backwards in some ways, and sometimes people are forging new strength and new different opportunities are coming from these different challenges. And it doesn't mean that there's just one's better than the other. It's just what we're ready for at a certain time. How much weight are we ready to hold? And there's been a lot of weight in the collective, and I have the deepest sympathy for everybody who's had to hold that weight. The people who I've seen really thrive in this environment have doubled down on the really important things for a human being. And I think largely that's community. So if you've allowed this opportunity to make your family stronger, to make your intimate community stronger, those people I see as really truly thriving and people coming together, even if it's virtually coming together, people coming together and feeling a stronger sense of connection. And the other side is a deeper sense of isolation. And isolation is deadly for a human being. If you look at the research, loneliness is the #1 predictor of early mortality. This is more than, Dr. Vivek Murthy, the former Surgeon General in the Obama era, he was saying that loneliness is worse than smoking 15 cigarettes a day or being obese. Like this is such an epidemic that we're facing. And if you allow this pandemic to actually drive you deeper into this epidemic, you're going to be having challenges. So community is that I've seen anybody do.
Yeah, such an important point, Aubrey. Thank you for really hammering that home. So we had a great question come in from our friend Bindu in the Netherlands. It is, in fact, evening, getting ready to be evening in Amsterdam. So this is an appropriate question. But she wants to know, Aubrey, what is a good evening routine to be able to wake up rested? What are your thoughts about that?
So part of the way that the human being works, you want to get light in the morning to actually make you feel awake, and you want to restrict light in the evening and at night so that you can actually get to sleep better. And this is modulated by something called melatonin, and melatonin is the hormone that actually makes us feel sleepy. Now, there's melatonin supplements if you have to work late on your computer, or you're going to get that blue light, that artificial light, because the artificial light that we have is very much like the sunlight. It tells the body we're in the daytime, it's time to be awake. So restricting some of that blue light is one important factor, and also keeping your nervous system on a kind of in a calm state is important. Obviously, drinking too much alcohol, eating too much food late, these are things that are going to be disrupting sleep. So finding that kind of calm place, reading is great. Spending time with those you love, cuddling up. I know a lot of us like to watch a movie. That's relaxing often, depending on the movie, but the light that's actually coming in can be detrimental. You can get blue light blocking glasses. It's going to change the hue of the film. So Spielberg wouldn't be too happy about that, but it's a functional way to make that happen. But ultimately, we want to restrict light and kind of slide into sleep without too much intensity and excitement that might come from, doing things that are too basically bring the nervous system into a heightened state.
Really good tips. Thank you very much for that. And just wanted to greet some of the folks who are tuning in. Adis is here from Miami, Naima from Paris. We have Natalia from Poland and Chantal from Geneva all joining us live. Thank you so much, everyone. Feel free, if you've just joined, type into the chat box where you are coming in from and any questions you have for Aubrey Marcus. Now, Aubrey, in your book, which is, of course, Own the Day, Own Your Life, one of the things that you talk about, which I think might be of interest to many people, unfortunately, during the pandemic, who may be a little bit frustrated in their jobs or thinking about their career options. One of the things that you talk about in your book is the key to making any miserable job work for you. Can you tell us a little bit more about this and how that might work?
So it's interesting, you look at some of the great philosophies out there, and Viktor Frankl laid something out in Man's Search for Meaning, and he talks about the last of the human freedoms being the ability to choose our attitude towards a given situation. So much of what you can do in a challenging work environment is choose your attitude. You can decide, this is my challenge today, this is my resistance today, this person is going to be in some way irritating, this person is going to be in some way challenging. How am I internally going to respond to this challenge? So they become the diamond grindstone that's sharpening the sword of your psyche. And that simple shift in mindset can make a big difference. So mindset is number one. The other one is really try to cultivate your environment in the best way possible. Find ways that you can have essential oils, perhaps, that can change the scent depending on your desk situation, depending on what you have. Create as much of a environment around yourself that is nourishing as possible, and really have clear boundaries. I mean, I think a lot of times we accept more than we need to accept. We're here to do a job, and if we can put up clear boundaries about communication that we want to have with other people, and we don't have to do this with anger, to say, I would appreciate that I go here and I focus on my work and I'm not disrupted. And also, if you're receiving something, instead of, going around and maybe in certain cases you have to go talk to HR and do that. But oftentimes, if you just lay up, if it's not that severe, you just have a clear conversation, talk about boundaries. Most people are going to be amenable to that. And if they aren't, perhaps whatever consequences come are the consequences that need to come. So really, have some strength and have some courage to really own your own boundaries, own what you're willing to do, and change your attitude about the things that you cannot change, and really use those as a tool to drive you to be better internally. Ultimately, we can find ways out of these different situations. And this is what a lot of, people that I work with, we're all kind of trying to figure out what paths we can take to get to a place where we are in love with what we do, because it's far too many hours that we spend working to not enjoy the work that we do. So, but for certain time periods, I was certainly there myself. I had a couple of years where I just had to suck it up. I just had to suck it up, and we're all going to be in those different spots. But ultimately, knowing that you're working towards something else is also going to be a great tool for the mindset.
Yeah, so true, Aubrey. Thank you. If you are just tuning in, I'm here. I am Dorie Clark on behalf of Newsweek, and I am here with Aubrey Marcus. He is the author of Own the Day, Own Your Life. If you want to learn more about Aubrey and his business Onnit, go to onnit.com. If you want to make sure that you never miss one of our weekly Thursday Better interview show programs, go to dorieclark.com/LinkedIn. You can sign up for my LinkedIn newsletter and make sure that you are notified every week about our fantastic guests. So, Aubrey, we had a great question come in from our friend Joel. Joel is coming to us from Canada, and he wants to know, sometimes I'm having trouble concentrating and getting work done with so much going on. We can probably all relate to that. He wants to know, do you have any advice or words of wisdom about how we can just focus better in the midst of all this mishigas?
I think we have to understand, to get into the prime focus work state, we have to actually find the sweet spot of our nervous system. And oftentimes we think that a more hyper nervous system, being more alert and aware, and that's going to drive our focus. But oftentimes it's the opposite. Oftentimes we're too excited. We have too much going on. We're too distracted. It's difficult to drop into what we're doing. As soon as we start to write something, we're thinking about what's happening on our phone. We're thinking about something else. I actually can fall in this category. So actually dropping my nervous system is something that's really, really helpful for me. And there's tools that you can use. One of these tools is a particular type of breath. And this breath is 2 short inhales and then a deep kind of sighing, relaxing exhale. And you feel yourself kind of relax into this more calm state. And that might actually drive you into that sweet spot that you're looking for, instead of reaching for more coffee or reaching for something else. Now, if you're actually the opposite and you're a little bit too sluggish, you can change that breath and have a longer inhale and a shorter exhale. And so actually what we're doing is we're getting to the mind via the nervous system. And this is a reliable way to get there, understanding that we have to find that zone. So for Joel, just recognize that it sounds like, to me, it might be helpful to do that first breath, 2 short inhales, a long exhale, and get yourself in a calmer state. And that calmer state will drive your focus and allow you to get into your work.
So helpful. That's great. I have to say, we have been doing the Better interview program for Newsweek since August, and this is the first time we have ever had a breathing demonstration on it. This is fantastic. Thank you. I love it, Aubrey.
Of course.
Yeah. Is there a special term for the different types of breathing? Is there, like, if anyone wanted to Google it?
There's lots of different terms for all the different types of pranayama. It's not really that important. Really, just there's good research. And if you want to look more deeper into the research, again, Dr. Andrew Huberman does a great job of talking about how to modulate the nervous system to affect the mind. So I would look into Dr. Andrew Huberman's work, and you can point to all the clinical research that shows how these type of breaths through the vagus nerve, through other different faculties, start to change our physiology.
Love that. Thank you very much. And another great question came in from Annette. Annette is in California, and she is curious, Aubrey. She says, I love the performance tips and strategies. Do you recommend any specific devices or apps for sleep or physical fitness in terms of data and feedback? What is your perspective about any good apps out there?
Well, I think for sleep, you really either want the Whoop watch or the Aura ring. And I sleep with the Aura ring. I don't like the idea of sleeping with a watch on. And I think sleep is one of those things that it's difficult to really know what's happening unless something is tracking it. We actually have a pretty good idea about how active we were. It is sometimes effective for people to gamify it. How many steps did I take? What was my activity today? And you can share it with your friends. I actually don't use any tracking devices when I'm in the day, because I know what I'm doing in the day. I know if I've been sitting around and not moving around. I know if I've been really active. But at sleep, when I'm sleeping, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. What's my deep sleep? What's my REM sleep? How many times did I wake up? So I wear the Aura ring. That's OURA, and it tracks it really well. It also gives you your HRV, which is a sign of how actually rested your body is and how ready you are for a hard workout or a big work day. So it gives you a lot of metrics that you can look at: your resting heart rate, different things to measure and see, all right, what did I do last night? What did I do? You know, how did I create this environment that gave me such good sleep? And all of these metrics, you can start to really play with it because you have some data to work with. So I would really recommend that. The other apps, they can track your movement and things, but they won't be able to really tell you in detail if you just use the apps that are on your phone or download something. You really want a wearable device. And so again, Aura or Whoop are the two solutions for that.
Really helpful. Thank you very much, Aubrey Marcus. And we are slowly winding down. We probably have time for just one or two more brief questions. I will mention that if you have been enjoying this conversation, please hit the like button and please hit the share button so that your friends and colleagues on social media can benefit from Aubrey's insights as well. Again, I'm Dorie Clark here with Aubrey Marcus. He's the author of Own the Day, Own Your Life. He is also the founder of the company On It. So, Aubrey, I'm curious. One of the other points that you mention in your book, Own the Day, Own Your Life, is the secret to getting yourself to do anything you don't want to do. I'm sure in the midst of COVID, many of us are kind of feeling this way. What are your thoughts or quick tips about how we can motivate ourselves better?
I honestly think we have to recognize how powerful we are. If we really want to do something, we can. We can. And there's so many people who are trying to tell us that, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do this. It's too hard to do this. No, you can. And I'm telling all of you that you can, and it's possible. Just as you can wave your hand right in front of your face for no reason at all, or snap your fingers, you can make that decision. You can choose to do it. And it's a skill I call mental override. I talk about it in chapter 2 of the book. And no one I've ever seen is better at that than Olympic skier Bodie Miller, who was my friend and founding partner at On It. He was able to just put himself in a situation where he didn't give himself any options, any outs. And one of the ways that I encourage people to practice this is with the cold shower. You know, you're sitting in there, there's tons of benefits for the cold shower, for your stress hormones, for, you know, all different aspects of your physiology, but it's difficult. All you have to do is turn that knob from hot to cold. All you have to do is control your hand, turn it in, stay in there. But we'll have all of this resistance come up. So take the perspective of the witness, watch yourself in all your resistance and say, I am stronger than all of that. And here, watch me go. And it shows you how powerful you really are. And as we build that trust in ourselves and that belief that we are that powerful, watch out, because then we're really unlocking our true superpower, which is the ability to decide something, to choose something, and to do it.
So powerful, Aubrey Marcus. That's great. Last question for you in our remaining minutes here. Obviously, we have just come through a very hard year. And I am curious, many people here on the call as well, maybe if obviously we want to get your book, Own the Day, Own Your Life. But if you were to give us just one strategy, one kind of low hanging fruit about a quick change or a thing that most people can implement relatively easily that would improve their quality of life, what would you recommend?
Build your community. You know, find those intentional ways that you can get deeper than sharing a meal, deeper than sharing a drink. Find those ways that you can facilitate those deeper conversations, there's more intimate experiences, and start to forge your squad, your tribe, your group. And there's a lot of different tools to do that, whether you do breath work together, whether you go to an ecstatic dance together, step out of your comfort zone, do something challenging, go into the cold plunges together. You know, find a way to actually build community. And oftentimes one of the best ways to do that is through mutual hardship. A really hard workout can do it, but find a way to actually get closer to the people around you. That's going to be the universal lever that's going to improve everything.
Fantastic and powerful advice. Aubrey Marcus, author of Own the Day, Own Your Life. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.